By this point, we have a Web3 file that allows us to obtain information from our smart contract, which we've identified with our address and the smart contract ABI. If you deploy the smart contract again, you have to take the ABI again and the new address, which is relevant to that smart contract. Nothing bad happens. You just have to make sure that if you deploy it again, you need the new address and the ABI. Okay, now we need to visualize the data and represent it in the metaverse, because right here we have geometric figures. And as you can see at the end, these are not NFT tokens, okay? So what we're going to do now is we're going to create these NFT tokens. And to do this, we're going to have the opportunity to create NFT tokens, for example, of this square right here, like the one you're seeing on your screen, and create a token for that on the blockchain. So we're going to do that now. All we need to do is we go to the index.js. Here, let me get rid of the files that I don't need. And we're going to create a function that is going to allow us to establish a direct connection with Web3 for the information that's generated in the blockchain, okay? So let's comment it in. Web3 connection to the data generated in the blockchain to be represented in the metaverse. Okay, so we're going to take the information for the NFTs in the blockchain and we're going to represent it. Okay, so we need to create a call. We do blockchain.then. And how are we going to access the web3.js file? As it currently stands, we're not accessing it. We're going to need to import it. So in the top part, we're going to add right now import. And what we do is blockchain from, and now we specify the path of where we get it. So we're going to go, it is right there. So it's ./web3.js. Perfect. So now we got it. Now, notice one thing very important, and that's that right now, if you go to web3.js, we're not exporting this. So you got to be careful with this. We really have to export this outside. So right now, let me just put these semicolons, because if we don't have those there, this might actually break the code. So let's do an export. Let's go export default blockchain. We're exporting the call blockchain down here, and we're going to the requests that are at index.js. So you see here, import blockchain from this web3.js file, okay, which is in the same folder. Okay. And now we've got blockchain.then, and now we need to get back a result. Now we're going to make the relevant calls. And what we're going to do is for every building, we're actually going to create a type of loop that will, well, as it currently stands, we know how many buildings are in the metaverse. In web3.js, we see here the total supply of buildings in the metaverse, okay? So now we're going to get a result for that. Now, all the other ones, we don't receive them. They're actually just console log. We don't actually have numbers. The only one that actually gives us a purpose is the supply or the error that you need to install MetaMask. So if we get a result, we get the supply, okay? Now, the supply is going to let us create a loop up to the point when we reach the maximum number of NFTs available, okay? And that's how we're going to do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this loop, and we now need to specify that the index needs to be less than or equal to the result supply. So, which is going to come back from blockchain.then the result. So basically what it really constitutes is the supply. Okay. So we need to specify that the index needs to be less than or equal to result.supply. So this will be a condition to represent the NFT tokens. And how are we going to represent these? Well, we can represent them in many ways. However, we've already specified in metaverse.sol, we've specified some parameters, how you build them. We got the W, the H, and D, which is the width, the height, and depth, X, Y, Z, which is actually the coordinates of where they are. This will work perfectly for a cube, that is a box. If we wanted to represent something with more parameters, we would have to modify the smart contract for that. But for the purposes of this example, we're actually working with boxes. So here, representation of NFTs as boxes. So how do we represent them? Well, we do const box geometry, and then we specify, we've already seen this before. If we actually look at the examples, we did these. So we have these already. There's nothing really here to do. Let's just specify. We're doing the same exact thing. So we go new 3.boxGeometry. And what parameters should we pass for this specific? Well, here comes the interesting part. It's building.w, which is the width, building dot, we got the height, and building dot D for the depth. So you got width, height, and depth. And where do these come from? They actually come from the smart contract. They're here, you see? We've got the building width, height, depth. They're all there, and we're just using them over here. Perfect. So we've got these parameters that we need for this. Now, let's go to the next one. So now we got the box material, which is the material that this building is going to be made of. So here we specify, we're actually going to use the mesh fung material, which has worked well. Let's use that one. Let's pass it a color. Well, we get to choose this color. We've already used one. Let's try this one. Let's use 33FFFC, and we're going to make the box. Actually, let's just change this and actually make it an NFT. You can call it whatever it is that you want. So what we will do is now we specify 3.mesh, and now we state that it includes the box geometry and the box material, right? Because these two have been specified already. Those two parameters need to be passed to create this NFT token so we can see it. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to put the position for this NFT. And we're going to do that by actually using the coordinates we already have for the building. Smart contract says the building X, building Y, and building Z. We already know those coordinates because the smart contract has it within the smart contract. So we're going to receive that information there to be able to position that NFT in the metaverse. Okay, now what we're going to do is in the scene, we are going to add this NFT. So we specify we're adding the NFT. Perfect. So now we have everything we need for this smart contract. We've done the import, we've done the calls, and what we have really accomplished with this code is, and let me just comment it in, for each building that's paid for, right? Because we were only focusing on the buildings that are actually paid. Each building paid for in the smart contract, what we're going to do is there's going to be a graphical representation in the metaverse. Okay, so for each building paid for in the smart contract, a graphical representation is made in the metaverse. That's what we're doing. I want to make sure that we're clarifying in the comments so that we know exactly what we're doing at every single line of the code. You'll also find this in the source code if you get it from the GitHub. Okay, I always encourage you to keep comments so you always know exactly what you're doing at every step. Okay, so by this point, we have everything that we need. Let's see how it looks. So we can get to go live. We're going to then, we've got the port 5500 and we have a bug. Okay, so let's see what this bug says. If you notice right here, what it's really saying, it's talking about an error in a Web3 module. And if we go to Web3, you'll see that this import is added here automatically. Now, Joanna and I did this intentionally so that you see that this has to be removed automatically because we're going to have problems with it. This happens automatically, and this comes from JavaScript. You just need to be aware of these, and we wanted you to see this yourself. Now, when we go back, now we're seeing the following. We have another error here, and let's see what this problem says. As we look right now, we have an error right now, and we actually expected this as well. Let's look at it and see exactly what is it that it's actually saying. It's actually saying that there's an address that's not properly set up. And if we actually look at the address to the smart contract, it needs to be between quotations. If you don't have your quotations inside, it's not properly written. Now let's take a look. Now it looks sharp. We're even getting some values back. We've got the account, we've got the supply and every tokens. In fact, let's take a look right now at the account. Let's see if it matches the MetaMask that we have. And if we look, we're going to copy it. Got right there, 09FB. It's exactly the account. We also see the current number of tokens. We've got 0. How many buildings do we have? As it stands, we've got none. But how can we see these buildings? Well, let's just go to Remix, and we've got the contract open. We can actually, if we want to actually work with it, we have it open. Let's use it. So let's create a brand new building. We're going to call it My NFT, okay? And let's put the dimensions are going to be width, 555, and then we're going to position it in the 1, 2, 3 coordinates, okay? Oh, wait, let's get the correct gas. We pop open our MetaMask. Remember, for us to be able to create an NFT, we have to pay for that building. So our MetaMask takes care of paying the cost, and let's see what happens here. So everything's in place. Didn't work. Why didn't it work? Well, let's go here, and we find that the NFTs have a cost. They have a cost of 1 Ether, which we have to specify here. 1 Ether in Remix, and let's transact. MetaMask pops it open, figures out the gas fee. We're still working in the testnet. Remember, we're not really paying a real Ether. And if we have the cost plus what the gas cost is for the miners, and let's see, okay, we're successful. We have created an NFT in the Polygon blockchain. And right now, if we look here, let's see the total supply, and the total supply shows that there's 1 NFT. So we have actually gone to the Polygon blockchain, and in the test network, we have created a new NFT. So now we're going to look at it on the Metaverse. But before, I actually want to look inside Visual Studio, and let me modify these objects inside index.js. I'm actually going to get rid of the rotating objects because they're actually getting in the way. So we're just going to comment them out so we don't have to look at them right now. It's not really our focus. We're now focusing on our new NFTs. Okay, and let's look. Ooh, there's our cube. We created that new token we have created, and we have exactly the current supply is 1. We see that there's up to 100, but there's currently 1. We see that the building, there's 1. It's called My NFT. We've got the coordinates and the sizes, and all of this is shown exactly in our console. So by now, we can see our NFT tokens in our Metaverse. All we needed to do was comment out these like first figures, just so we don't get confused that some of them were not NFTs and some of them are really NFTs. So I really don't want to look at the ones that aren't NFTs. So what we do is just, in fact, we even see the little rotating cube down there, which is actually getting in our way. We really don't want to be looking at these. But by this point, we've actually created the connection, and we have a successful NFT token, which is this big cube right in this Metaverse. Okay. In the following lessons, we're going to prove all this. We're going to make it a lot more professional looking, and it's going to look like a true Metaverse. But by this point, we've done the connection.